Hi there. Today I'm going to do this Schecter guitar. I'm going to tune it to baritone tuning, B standard. Use a custom set. Had to come up with. I usually sell a DR 13 through 65 drop down tuning, but I'm out. So for the customer, I'm going to do a custom set that's close to what that set would be, um, with slight variation. The only real difference is going to be in the size of the bass strings. The original set is 13, 17, 22, 42, 56, 65. This set's going to be 13, 17, 22, 46, 58, 70. So a little beefier on the bass side, so it should hold up to some heavy rhythm playing really well. Hopefully it's not too stiff for him. This is a Floyd Rose guitar, so it's going to take a little more work than I usually have doing these types of things. I mean, file nuts and everything else is not a big deal, but I won't have to do that here, but I will have to deal with the Floyd itself and make sure that everything stays where it needs to be. Of course, handy Allen wrench. Every time you get one of these, keep it. I do. Just start breaking them loose and going from there. One thing I like to do on the Floyd Rose guitars when I'm working on them, while I'm unscrewing these, I'll talk to you. I like to take something like a jack plate and slide it under the Floyd to kind of keep things from popping loose. You're letting that bridge sink all the way down. Just something to hold it in place, because it's annoying to have to try to hold the Floyd up and, operate your screws and whatnot. This is a little bit different because there's these mini toggles here that I have to contend with, so it's offset. Typically it's right in the middle. But that's how I'm going to have to deal with this. With all the guitars that I work on, I never just like to just loosen this. I don't cut the strings like while there's tension on them. I think it's hard on the neck. I've seen a lot of guys do that, and I've been guilty of it, years ago. You think about that neck, it's under a lot of pressure with the string tension on it, and then you cut those strings as opposed to loosening them, then cutting them. You end up really shocking the neck. Think about it. It's like a bow. The limbs bend back and they spring forward. In this case, it's not like fiberglass or anything like they are in modern compound bows. It's wood that you're doing that to. So unless you feel that that's what you want to do, the wood in your guitar neck, I would recommend against it. Just because. I mean, I don't know that it's really going to hurt it. No one's ever told me otherwise, but my guess and just logic says you're going to screw it up if you treat it that way. This guy has a string tree. I often take those off just to get them out of my way. I'd rather not try to thread everything through underneath that while restringing the guitar. I'd rather just lay the strings in the nut and then apply the string tree later after the strings are on. Set that how I like it. It just makes things a little easier for myself. And it does save me a bit of time, because if you sit there on each string and try to thread it under, it can get annoying. The original strings are in great shape. I'm just taking them off. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I used to keep these things, but I have gathered such a, enormous amount of strings. It's not worth it anymore. They hit the trash. That was the small strings. Just continuing on now to the bass strings. It's already detuned. I don't know what tuning it's in, but the strings aren't that big. So I think once I get these on, that I'm going to see the neck do things it hasn't done yet because of the change in size. I think these are much bigger than what was on there, the ones I'm putting on, because these don't feel particularly big. It might be a 52 on the low E, but we're going to go bigger than that. His request was at least a 65, so we're going with a 70, so that's going to be plenty fat, right? First time I used a 70, I ordered a custom set from DR, and I haven't gone back. Not for B, especially on a guitar that's got a Gibson scale, Fender scale. I might go a little thinner because of the length of the neck, length of the scale length, saddle to nut is longer, and it adds a little string tension. Okay, so starting with the little 13, we're just going to start threading them in and going one by one. I always go, I used to cut the ball ends off and then, you know, thread the string through and then do it that way. I never cut the ball ends off anymore. I just go backwards on the Floyd and stick them in that way. And if there's like it's a wound string and there's that difference there, you know, where you got the winding ends, I'll just cut that off and then, you know, get to the actual meat of the string before inserting it into the bridge, so you don't have any issues there. You should go on pretty quick. It's a nice reverse headstock, which I'm super familiar with because, hey, that's what I play. I love nothing cooler than a reverse headstock, in my opinion. I'm just a dork like that. All right. So I don't, you know, right now with the Floyd and the whole reset, I don't know that it's even worth trying to get close to pitch. But I kind of want to see what the bridge and the guitar is going to do anyway. So I'm going to take this one to B. And, oh, I almost forgot. I mean, this does look really good. It doesn't look like it needs it, but I'll oil the fingerboard quick. The frets are really not that dirty. I don't see a lot of crap on there. I'll just kind of once over it with a steel wool. Especially the lower frets, they might see a little more wear. Everyone likes to play down there, right? It's where the bulk of your money making gets done, so to speak. Okay. Oil. Good to do that while strings are off, right? Good to catch it before you had them all on, too. Alrighty. It's very pretty inlay work on this Schecter. They make a nice guitar. It's the funny thing, people get brand loyalty about different guitars. You find me a manufacturer out there with the tooling and the know-how, and everyone, it doesn't matter, anyone can build you a killer guitar once they have all that stuff in place, and Schecter's no exception. I might have to check my notes on this one just to make sure. I knew he wanted 13s tuned to B, but I might make sure it's not something else, like drop B. Nope, just B standard. If you've never done that, your tuning is low to high. B, E, A, D, F sharp, B. That's to keep your chord shapes and whatnot in line, that F sharp. It's not a 7 string. If you're playing a band with a guy who's got a 7 string and you play 6 and you're tuned baritone and he's not, he's just tuned 7 string standard. His G string, your F sharp, they're different. So you have to fret a fret higher for everything than he does on that particular, in that particular area. Found this out years ago. My brother and I played in a band together, and we were like, why is that different? I was like, oh, derf. You know, you think about it, you fret your guitar, 5th fret, tune the string below it, all the way until you get to the B string. I'll do the same thing to a baritone guitar that 2nd string's an F sharp, you know, because you're fretting the string above it at the 4th fret, and that's the note you're getting is an F sharp, not a G. Or not a B, sorry. Not a G, I guess, but it's not. It would be like an A sharp if you were thinking standard there. Let's see, B, F sharp, F sharp. When too tight, they're off the bat. These fatter strings, you'll find that sometimes they get tension really quick, which is nice. Clip it. Get out of my way. Kind of rambled there for a second. I lost train of thought. Yeah, so the 2nd string being the F sharp as opposed to a G, you fret that D string on the 4th fret as opposed to the 5th. It ends up being a F sharp instead of a G. That's what I was trying to say. And I got there finally. All right, 22 planes going on. I got the 13, the 17. This is a 22. These 22s, you get 22 or 24 that are plain. They feel like they will they are just so stiff, even, you know, out of the box, just like unwrapping them. You know, a lot of the strings, when you put them on, they'll slip as you start to wrap them if you don't like double over or anything. These guys, these 22s, 24s, don't worry about it. They are so heavy, so stiff. They just do their job, you know. This should be a D. On my guitars, I prefer that third string baritone be a wound string, and just I compensate while bending by just putting a little more force in it, because you got to go a little further when you bend the string as opposed to a plain string. It's like playing acoustic guitar, you know, that's all it is. It's not like anything crazy, it's just what works. Looking for a 46. That's not it. That's the wrong guy. I saw E on the packaging and grabbed the wrong one. Stepping off camera, where'd he go? Bazinga. So yeah, 46 is what I was looking for. Not quite yet, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, it was. Yeah, 46 was my next one. So my fourth string is a lot fatter than I'm used to, you know, or you'd typically be used to. You think about a 46. Here's what I was talking about. It's plain and then wound. Because I go in backwards, and I don't want to cut the ball end and, you know, do extra work. I just clip it off so it's the plain end, you know, or a ball end, you know, the wound string ends there. I can tuck that into the Floyd. It'd be weird to have it hanging out. You'd be more likely to break your string if you did it that way. You know, I see some bass sets like that where they've got the crazy, like, plain, very thin part of the string by the bridge, you know. I can't remember who does them, but I saw some once. I was like, why would you do that? It makes no sense, especially your force your pick, you know. Bend that down. So we're tuning a 56 to A, which is pretty crazy when you think about it on the face of it. But yeah, I've done it and it works really well. Or 46 to A. I mean, not a 56. That'd be insane, right? Unless you're going down to A, and that'd be sloppy. So this guy's going to be a fairly tight A string. Think about taking your standard tuned guitar, then taking your low E up to A. How would that feel? That's what we're doing here. But we have to counter everything. We have to make the physics work, make the balance, make the instrument sound good. We're on the 58 for our E, which is big for an E, but again, we're going fatty. Same thing, you know, plain end. Cut it off. Get out of my way. Looking at this, I'm like curious if I'm gonna have to do anything to this tuner to get the big string in or not. I had a Jackson Kelly once. I decided to tune to F sharp, and I got like a 75 gauge string. I actually drilled the tuning peg, the tuning machine, the hole out on the top to accommodate the string. It's delicate, you know, take your time, go slow, but it worked. It sounded really cool. Okay, and this guy to E, this is going to be stiff, which is awesome. You hit that string, I don't like them to go, you know, to just sound mushy. I always heard that in recordings in the 90s or the early 2000s and stuff, new metal and whatnot. You could tell the equipment wasn't optimized for what they were doing, the way the strings would sound, just bouncy and loose. And I don't like that. And I don't want it to sound that way. I want it to sound percussive and aggressive, even though I'm tuned down. So that's what you do. I think we're going to have to, the bridge is already lifted. I don't even need this anymore. So, real quick, since it's lifting, this is one of those handy dandy ones that's got the screws in the back. Now I might have to mess here. It looks like the way they have those springs set is not ideal. They've got just the three guys, one in the middle and two on the outside, all running straight. You can get a little more out of it if you angle your two springs in, which is going to be kind of a pain in the butt now I got strings on it. I should have looked earlier, but we can accommodate that. We can make up for it. It's not a big deal. I'm not scared. If I was scared, I wouldn't do this. I'm doing it on video, so if I destroy the guitar, I have to live with it, and you can laugh at me. But it's not a big deal. You just got to push down and really use some force to get it where you want. And sometimes I should really just loosen the crap out of the claw springs and then retighten them so I don't have to fight the spring tension, because that's often an issue. You can always add springs too if you feel like you need it. But with the baritone tuning and everything, because we're going down and tuning, we're going to change the angle of those middle two springs, and it's not such a big deal. Here's what I'm talking about. These three guys running straight. You don't have much adjustment left, and the bridge is already pulling up, and I've got 5 of the 6 strings on it. So I'm going to angle these guys from here to here and here to here, so I get a little more tension, and it helps me with that adjustment too. Stabilizes things. Like I said, I loosen it kind of on the get-go here to just give me a little more something to work with as far as the springs go. Because if they're like you're trying to pull those tight and snap them on those little tabs on the claw, it can be a lot harder than it needs to be. I just as soon get them slack as possible and then screw them back in somewhat, see if they do what we need. They're still pretty tight, and I've gotten those out a long ways. Of course, there's strings on it too, so they're pulling against me, which I kind of I knew was going to happen. There's the first one. There he is. Ha! It's awesome. Pop straight up in the air. And then the third one. Now, see, I took the claw screws loose to get the springs where I wanted. Now I'm going to take them back in a bit because they are pulling rather extremely, even with the 5 strings on. So I'm going to go ahead and mush those back towards the top of the guitar. When I can see where it was, because they've been in place for so long, you can see where the screw was screwed into the body, where it ended, where the threads were exposed and where they weren't, because there's wood on the screw threads. This should get us what we want, at least close to, and I can adjust as necessary. Kind of eyeball for evenness there, Go ahead and put Biggie on. Mista 70. That's a fatty. Again, this is going to be, of course, it's plain on the end and then wound. Can't have that, can we? Nope. All right, so there we go. Now to see if it's going to thread into this tuner or not. I'm thinking it should, but who's to say I'm right? There we go. Yep, no problem. Boom, easy. Pretty tight though. That's all the way through, right? Okay. I will have to loosen this a bit more. I've been doing this all the way down. Loosening those guys. When I turn the guitar over to show you that, I dropped a block. You want to keep track of those. Make note of the way they've got that little divot in them. That's where the screw goes. It should be towards the bottom on the back. A lot of people don't think about those kinds of things. I'm going to quickly finger tighten this to get it where I wanted. And then grab the wrench. There we go. Because I had it so stinking loose. I'd like to hear this guitar when I get done with it. It's got the Sustainiac neck pickup and the Duncan Invader in the bridge, which this could be a really cool sounding instrument, right? I like different pickup combinations and hearing what they sound like, you know. Some guitars sound awesome because of the wood / pickup combinations, and some don't. And I think this one could sound really cool. Of course, I'm sure product development at Schecter, they would have done their due diligence and made sure that this is really cool. Unless they're being lazy. But I don't think if you want to sell guitars, you do that. You gotta make sure you design something that's going to function. Big old Evil Bee. Bong. I love the tone of B. It's just really cool. Give that string a little bend so it's not a health hazard. And we're going to go through and kind of quickly tune the strings and see what happens. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to tighten the... You know what? I'm going to actually, because I have one handy, I'm going to add a spring. This guy is in need of an extra spring. It's crazy. It's so freaking... But I want to be consistent, and I have a set here from another guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the outside 2 springs out of this guy and add... Well, I'm not going to take them out. I'm going to swap. So we have a consistent deal across the board. I might actually go a full 5 springs on it just to really make sure it's stable, which is cool. I mean, he's going to have to work a little harder on whammy bar wanking, which is not, you know, I don't know how much he does that. I know he's a big guy, likes his squeals and whatnot, and heavy picking, so we're going to have to make it work for him. Okay, so moving that guy back to where he was. Adding a new guy. Moving this guy back to where he was. Adding a new guy. Now, there should be plenty of spring tension in this guitar now to keep things from going anywhere, right? I did again loosen the claw screws so the strings are pulled way up. But once I tighten this, it should start to pull back pretty good. You got 5 springs in there pulling against your strings. And even though the strings are big, even for baritone tuning, it's gonna pull on them pretty hard. Yeah, well, still a little pull, but not as bad. So now I'm just going to start adjusting the claw a little bit just to get it rough here, you know, get an idea where I need to go. Final adjustments I don't like to do until I have the saddle or the nut locked down, because then I know where it really needs to go. And I can fine tune and adjust as necessary the claw through the back with the strings on tension, under tension. Yeah, I'm holding this against my belly. Tuning real quickly, turning the screwdriver. I was just trying to eyeball that claw, make sure it's as even as possible. Yeah, it's actually, now I've got a pretty good beat on where we're going, as far as what the claw needs to do and everything. It's actually, the outer two strings are, everything's at least reading the right note, even though it's not perfect, which is good. That means I'm getting ballpark on having everything just about set. We're gonna let that settle a bit. While I've got that kind of hanging out, I am going to do what? What do I have to do? What did I say? String tree needs to go back on. And with the string tree, you want it to not smash the strings, but hold them in line with the tuners, you know. That it's there for a reason. It keeps the strings, you know, tension over the nut and then against the tuners, keeps everything stable. If you don't have it set right, you're going to have tuning problems, especially if your headstock's not angled, you know, right. You know, Carvin used to talk about straight string pull and their lack of need for a string tree because the strings pulled straight to the tuners. And that's all in the design of the guitar. That's nothing that, you know, an end user can fix on their own, I don't think. There we go. Now see, I'm getting the strings right a little higher there. They're starting to, like, the springs are starting to do their work, pull everything back. So I'll have to adjust that as I get closer here. I'm not going to put the nut on yet, the locking clamps, because I still need to see just how far we're going to move. And I'll give myself a little bit of slack here in the fine tuners. Why not? You know, perfect time to do this is while you're changing strings and stuff. You know, one string you've sunk all the way down over the course of the life of the strings, you know, and another one you've got all the way out. You know, try to set them in the middle and just adjust, you know. Those all need to back out, because as, you know, strings have stretched over time, whoever was playing them has been tightening those fine tuners and they're all the way down. So now he's got adjustment both ways. Bridge plate is just about parallel with the body, still pulling a little bit. Just give it a minute or two and see what happens. I can force it, but it'll happen naturally, I think. Really cool. Those are running straight up the middle right now. Nothing's pulling sharp or flat, so I might actually be in really good shape as far as claw adjustment, which is awesome. You know, at this point, in most cases, you don't get that lucky. I've done a lot of a lot of adjustments on guitars over the years, especially Floyd's. And maybe I'm just getting better at eyeballing things and guessing what needs to happen. I've done baritone tuning for a long time. I know how that sets up. Maybe it's just luck. Maybe I just happened to guess right with those springs that I put in there. But it seems like we're in good shape as far as that goes. Get some of this fingerprint crap off here. He's got a show Saturday. He wants to look. This guitar needs to look good, right? So why not clean it up for him a bit? You know, he'll probably polish it himself too. You know, why not? But if I can have it ready to go for him and make it look cool, then bonus. It's a really cool looking guitar. I don't know whose signature it is, but it says Nikki on the truss rod cover. So I imagine it's someone I don't know. I'm not in touch with a lot of what's going on in metal anymore. I quit reading metal press things. I just don't care, I guess. You know, I like guitars and stuff. There's a lot of great players out there, but I don't get caught up in what's going on in the world of the music industry like I used to. You know, it's just not my thing. This is where my passion's at, is playing with these guys and making stuff work. You know, the physics, the tinkering around, all that stuff. That's more interesting to me than being on stage or anything ever will be again. Learning to play all these songs and whatnot and having fun doing it. It's cool, but it didn't get me what I wanted. So this is more fulfilling for me, honestly. Which sounds kind of weird, but it's just how it played out for me. And it's not like I'm a failed musician or anything. It's just that this is where my heart really lies. This is what fascinates me more than anything else, is the instrument itself and how it works. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on the back because it doesn't matter. I put it back anyway because it's got the slots in it to adjust, which is awesome. I like that when they do that. But I don't have to worry about the, what did you call it? The claw at this point. I think we're in really good shape. I will check intonation while we're here. I don't know what the tuning was, but you do need to do that if you ever take a guitar in, and you want to change the tuning on it, always check your intonation, you know. Because that string's in tune at the 12th fret when you're tuned to standard or E flat or whatever you like, doesn't mean when you change tuning it's going to stay the same. You're changing that tension on that string, the length of the string, the note, you know, you need to adjust that properly, or you're going to go fret something high up on the neck, like a chord, or you're going to play a harmony with a friend or play a unison note, and it's going to sound like absolute crap because you're just a hair off, and being a hair off is worse than being way off sometimes, as far as like yucky sound. You think about those micro bends and stuff that people do against like an open string. It sounds like bees, you know what I mean? It's just nasty. So B. So the skull on this particular guitar on the inlays is where your 12th fret is. Fret that right bend. B. So I've got two strings that need adjustment. The 6th string and the 4th string, the B and the A in this case. And I need to pull them slightly forward because they're a little bit on the flat side when fretted. And I'm going to real carefully do that. Floyd Roses can be a bit of a bear. I've tried little tools and things to kind of make a trick out of this. But ultimately, I just end up doing it the hard way because I can get it done much quicker that way. So what I do is I take the string in question, I loosen it slightly, you know, give myself some slack, because that thing, as soon as I bust that saddle loose, it's going to want to jump forward, right? and which is the direction I'm going in anyway, but I don't need it all the way forward. I just need it forward just a bit. And here's to hoping that previous adjustments to this guitar haven't stripped these Allen screws, which you'll find sometimes. There we go. All right, so that came loose, and it's all the way. I'm just going to slide it, part of its range forward, and retighten it. Then bring it back to pitch, and then check the intonation again. This is one of the most tedious parts about a Floyd Rose, is re-intonating a string. Because I had it awesome, right? I was happy with how it was reading, happy about everything was working, but we're just now we're at pitch, which is what I wanted. I said the other string I need to do was the 6th string, so we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Same process, and it could move a little bit forward. It is back. I don't know. I don't know that I want to do this because, why, Ben? Because we're in the second, there we go. Okay, we had adjustment there. There's 2 holes in this case that I can see, probably 3, for the saddles to sit, for their set screw. This one was in the very back, and it looked like I was already out of adjustment, but I wasn't. Yay, which is great. Yeah, we got it. Awesome. That went a lot quicker than I'd hoped. Typically, Floyd Rose is going to take me a little bit longer to do, but like I said, I've done a bunch, and these Baritone tunings have become much easier for me to set up because it's my own tuning. It's my favorite tuning. But any tuning, you get a feel for what the tension needs to be on the guitar and everything, what it's going to, feel like the more you do. And I've done a bunch. I wish I could count the number of guitars I've done work on with different tunings and stuff. So I think we are good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and give the customer a call and let them know how things worked. Overall, I'm very happy with this guitar and its setup. So real quick, I do want to double check. When you clamp some nuts down, the guitar will pull slightly sharp. So I'm gonna go ahead and tweak those a little bit so when I clamp it, it's in pitch. That's good. That's good. That's good. That one's a little tight. All right, so before he picks it up, I'll be checking it and stuff. He still works yet. Yeah, I could. I'm gonna go ahead and do his truss rod too. It looks like that's a little tight. Probably a good thing I didn't call him yet, right? Ha ha ha. But I should have. I'm just so happy that went so fast. Truss rod has no relief in it, really. I mean, the strings are laying on the frets when you fret the first fret. So that's not ideal. Let me go ahead and get that cover out of my way and grab a wrench and have at her, because it's not going to work for him. Not as is. Do. And it doesn't take much, I don't think, Yeah, now I've got it kind of where I want it. I'm gonna put the cover back on and call it good. Where'd my screwdriver go? This is the hell that's my life, you know. I set a screwdriver down, it vanishes. I could be looking right at it. You guys are like, oh, it's under the neck. There we go. There we go. I do that a lot. Set something down and it'll be under the guitar or something and I just won't see it. Yeah, again, set up way faster than I would have ever expected, which is a bonus. I did have to bust the string tree loose to get that truss rod cover out of there, and that's on the company for the way they did that. You know, I don't think that's ideal. You shouldn't have to break a string tree loose every time you want to adjust a truss rod, you know. And in my case, I just don't even use the stinking covers. They're always in the way, you know. I just as soon have that thing open and painted. All right, so there we go. I think we've got kind of what we want. I'm going to check height of the string real quick, you know. Big strings buzz. Got a lot of string diameter there to deal with, you know. Yeah, so sitting nice and flat, hard to see there. I guess I can turn over, but we're not lifting up or anything crazy. A very pretty guitar by Schecter. I was able to set up for my friend Albert. Hopefully he enjoys it. I look forward. I'll probably plug this in a little bit and just kind of play with it because I can, if I have time. I do have a lot of repairs I need to work on, but that's done. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, message me on YouTube. Message me on our website, www.brgmusic.com. We're on Reverb. You can call us at 515-329-0120. You can find us on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook too under Ben Christopher Guitar, Bass, and Drum Lessons. And I will quote you repairs. I will give you whatever I can as far as like an idea on times and whatnot. And I hope you enjoyed watching this. It was a fun, quick setup, and I'm very happy with the results that we got. So hopefully the customer enjoys it, kicks ass at his show, and can tell people where he got it set up at. But you watched it here. Remember, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.